everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly, the show where I give you guys the top prog news headlines of the week, introduce you guys to some new prog singles, and give you updates on the channel and what's happening here on Nathan on Shuffle. Always a fun time. Today is May 29th, 2026. And I like to start these shows by talking about the latest releases that have come out in the last couple weeks. Firstly, Psyclops came out with the record Bound to Burn, Melody of the Martyr, on May 22nd. A very short but sweet prog metal record. Some heavy growling type stuff, but a lot of cool, quirky prog metal in the vein of like a HAKEN, those types of bands, Between the Buried and Me. Parius is another one I've heard that's kind of a more recent band, so some really cool stuff there. Hammock released an album called The Second Coming Was a Moonrise. This is post-rock, very beautiful ambient kind of soundscape type stuff, but really a pleasing listen. May 27th, Albion came out with the release. It was in the month of May. This is Celtic folk and prog rock, kind of along like Jethro Tull type vein, but more traditional folk songs done with more rock instruments and a little bit of a metal leaning at times. But wonderful record. I love the vocals and the kind of classical, kind of folky elements that they put onto the table. So that's one that I heavily recommend. Elder has a new album, Through Zero. This is heavy psych, doom metal, stoner rock, whatever you want to call it, with definitely some prog undertones. Love this. Very dense, very layered, and just really sounds beautiful. I really love this record. So check that one out. Devin Townsend has a new release called The Moth, experimental prog metal. This is kind of an orchestral affair, very much a huge giant concept record. People are really excited about this one. There's a single, Prepare for War, The Big Snit, that's in my prog singles list if you check out the description. It's a little bit polarizing perhaps, but people who really love Devin Townsend seem to really love this record and consider it maybe one of his modern masterpieces. So I have mixed feelings about Devin Townsend. I still need to get more into the record before I give my full thoughts about it, but I think there's a lot to enjoy here if you're a fan of his material and more experimental avant-garde kind of side to metal and music in general. Paul McCartney has a new record, The Boys of Dungeon Lane. Of course, Paul McCartney doesn't need any explanation. He's one of the most iconic songwriters and musicians of our time. And this sounds really good to my ears. I'm drawn back to like the early 70s and just really classic Paul McCartney and Wings type material. So a really cool, surprising record from him in his later years. Kristoffer Gildenlöw also has a record called Humanized, more in the prog metal singer-songwriter type vein, that I thought I'd bring some attention to as well. I'll try to put a list of these new releases in the description that was recommended in my prior episode for those who maybe need to have a written version to be able to pull and check these albums out. So I'll put that in the description. As for the news proper, the biggest news from my neck of the woods, if you've watched this channel a lot and know what I've done in the past few years, I'm super excited about the new lineup for Cruise to the Edge 2027. Maybe one of the strongest lineups they've ever had. I said this on their 2025 cruise, which I attended, which was another stellar lineup of all bands that I absolutely love. And this one's shaping up to be much in the same excellent category. I just think all these bands that have been announced have been incredible. Just to name some of them, of course, we've got HAKEN returning to the cruise. They come basically every year on the cruise. Pendragon, Neil Morse and the Resonance, Von Hertzen Brothers, Caligula's Horse, Temic, Crown Lands, Spock's Beard, Moon Safari, Thank You Scientist, Gazpacho, Mike Keneally. We've got so many great groups. I was really excited to see the Deer Hunter as part of the lineup. One of my favorite bands. If you watch this channel, you know that. Lunatic Soul, which is kind of the solo project of Marius Duda, which is interesting coming off the heels of Riverside basically disbanding. Voyage 35, which has members of Porcupine Tree, older school Porcupine Tree from the early days. Dim Gray is another band I really like that's part of the cruise. And there's many others that I didn't even mention. So those are some of the big headline acts that are going to be on this cruise. And, I'm very heavily considering, me and Jan are considering being part of this cruise. So we're still making sure it makes sense for us financially and scheduling wise, but it's probably likely that we'll be part of this cruise. So we're really excited about it. The big headline acts, I don't even think I said, Kansas is part of this cruise. Steve Hackett, Big Train, and Asia. Those are probably the 4 biggest headline names. I'm guessing they'll have kind of top billing and the laminate shows in the Stardust Theater, if you know the cruise well. And this is sailing from Miami April 2nd to April 8th, 2027. It goes on sale to 2026 alumni on Monday, June 1st at 2 p.m. Eastern. Past alumni, that'll be my bucket, because I didn't go on the last cruise from earlier this year, but I've been on past cruises. So Wednesday, June 3rd at 2 p.m. The general on sale for everyone else is on June 8th. So check that out, 12 p.m. Eastern on June 8th. So it's always a great time. It's one of the most fun experiences you can have as a prog rock fan. Heavily recommend it. And the fact that me and Jan are considering a third trip is pretty remarkable, because we have a lot of different vacation ideas and things we want to do. But we keep coming back to this prog cruise because we both have such a great time going. Even though I'm obviously the bigger prog fan than my wife, but she really enjoys the experience as well. And so hopefully see some of you guys out there if you're planning to attend. Second, there's a new HAKEN single, In a Fever Dream. HAKEN is one of my favorite bands, prog metal band. They recently lost 2 of their prime members earlier this year. We saw Charlie Griffiths and Connor Green leave the band, so there's a lot of question marks of how they would continue, and it seems like they're continuing as a 4-piece. Ross Jenney and Richard Henshaw, Pete Jones and Ray Hearn. Obviously, they'll need some kind of a touring bassist for their upcoming gigs, for their upcoming stint on Cruise to the Edge, at the very least. On this track, Brian Beller is playing bass, so a really renowned bassist from Aristocrats, played with Joe Satriani and a bunch of different groups. And this is a really cool track. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a cool modern prog metal track with HAKEN's kind of quirky sensibilities baked in there, so I'm really excited for what's to come from them in the future. I'm hoping a new album will be coming out from them by the end of the year, but there's no announcements as of yet as for the full-length record that this single presumably comes from, but should be exciting in the world of HAKEN if you're a fan like I am. A bunch of Yes-related news that I wanted to put forth on this list. Yes is releasing a new record pretty soon here on June 12th called Aurora. They've released a second single from that album, Turnaround Situation. A really cool kind of shorter track with some interesting catchy hooks and chorus. I like the ending with kind of an a cappella type vocal. So it's a really cool little track. Maybe I don't care for it as much as the first single that they released, the title track, but I think it's still pretty solid. So I'll be talking, I'm sure, about the album release and everything. The lineup for this version of Yes is Steve Howe, Jeff Downs, John Davison, Billy Sherwood, and Jay Shellen. That single, Turnaround Situation, is on my prog singles list. It's a YouTube playlist linked in the description, so check that one out. I put a bunch of singles actually last week. I was actually away on vacation, but I was able to sneak in some of these singles. So if you've checked out that list recently, you'll have seen a lot of these singles that I'm talking about in this episode. But that album Aurora is available for pre-order in a variety of different formats: vinyl, CD, digital, all of the typical stuff, releasing on Inside Out. But also in the Yes camp, they're celebrating the 50th anniversary of one of the most storied performances, the Live at Roosevelt Stadium in Jersey City, that occurred on June 17th, 1976. They're releasing a live release of it, and it's going to be released on July 17th. The live album's first official release, released on 2 CD and 3 LP versions, available to pre-order. Rhino.com is offering an exclusive vinyl LP edition that includes a 12x12 lithograph of the new original album artwork by Roger Dean. So really cool to see this classic show kind of captured on a new release here, an official release by the band. The track list seems pretty incredible, including, stuff from all up through Relayer. You see the Gates of Delirium on here. Also, we've got Siberian Catru, Sound Chaser. I've seen All Good People. Long Distance Runaround, Ritual, all these great classic Yes tracks. Heart of the Sunrise is on here, Roundabout, of course. So check out that live release if you're into the band's live albums. I think that should be a good one. Live at Roosevelt Stadium, releasing July 17th. Also, Rick Wakeman announces his The Wizard of Prog Ultimate Highlights concert tour for early 2027. Rick Wakeman celebrated his 77th birthday in the past couple weeks. And this highlight tour is going to be really fun, featuring his English rock ensemble for February and March 2027. The band's longest tour of the UK to date, so that should be special. Audiences can expect to hear extracts from his epic concept albums like Journey to the Center of the Earth and the Myths and Legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and other solo work, as well as music he recorded with Yes, of course, and a few other surprises. So should be really cool. He's also releasing his autobiography, The Wizard of Prog, later this year, which can be pre-ordered now. Tickets are on sale today, apparently, for this concert tour that he's doing in February and March in the UK. So if you're in that area and able to attend, Rick Wakeman was on one of these prior Prog cruises that I went on as a solo performer, and it was a blast, one of the highlights of the cruise for me and Jana, because not only does he play incredibly well, obviously, he's one of the most renowned and brilliant musicians of the prog world. He's just a funny human being telling funny anecdotes and stories throughout his performance that just makes for a really entertaining evening. So definitely highest recommendation to going to see Rick Wakeman live. ELP announced a newly remastered reissue of Works Live. This is an album coming out on July 24th through BMG. The band have also shared a new live video for their cover of Peter Gunn, recorded mostly at their August 26, 1977 show at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal in Canada, with 3 tracks being recorded from a show in Wheeling, West Virginia, USA in November 1977. The album was originally released as a single album in concert in 1979, but later re-released and repackaged as Works Live in 1993, falling more in line with the late Keith Emerson's wish that the original album be a double album. So we'll see it here as a double vinyl album, a 2 CD set, and a digital release. So if you're interested in ELP and this Works Live performance, this should be a cool release to be able to see it reissued here. So that's going to be a cool release to look forward to for ELP fans. Another single on my Prog singles list that I want to point attention to is Lalu. The new track is called Prince with the Swift Warning, and their new album, A Mythmaker's Demise, is coming out on July 31st. This album is a milestone release celebrating the 20th anniversary of Vivian Lalu's progressive rock project. So that's exciting. I've liked some of their previous records, so I wanted to point the attention. I love Paint the Sky was an excellent track from them. The Fish Who Wanted to Be King was their previous album, I believe, in 2023. So this album is available for pre-order as well. Wonderful, just cool modern prog rock with a little bit of a classic rock tinge to it. Really good stuff. I really like the band here, so I wanted to put them on my Prog singles list. So that's basically what I have for you today on my list of items to share with you. Hopefully you appreciated this episode. As for the channel, I did an episode this week that seems to be fairly well regarded. It's the final episode in my top 6 series, where I'm counting down what my personal big 6 prog bands of 3 different eras are. This was about the modern era bands that are still active and making prog music today. So please check out that video. It's a really fun one, and weigh in the comments of what your big 6 are, or however many that you can come up with of modern prog bands that you really love. I'm planning in July, so it's basically a month away, but I'm planning this bigger series of my favorite albums of all time, the personal albums that have meant the most to me throughout my life, throughout 40 years of life, essentially. So 40 albums to celebrate 40 years. And I'm excited to bring that to you. And there's no restrictions. Oftentimes when I do countdown lists like that, I'm often like, oh, there can only be one album per artist, or, I only want this many albums from this era or from this genre or whatever. But this is just purely my top 40 favorites. And so there could be a lot of repeat artists, and, spoiler alert, there will be a lot of repeats from some of my favorite artists. But, I think it's kind of a fun look into my complete tastes and knowing exactly where I stand with my favorite music and what it's meant to me. And I want to make it more of like a personal series where I'm talking about my experiences with this music and how I discovered it and what it has meant to me over the years in my life. So a little bit of a walk through my history of music discovery, so to speak, which I've done in various different ways, but I'm excited about doing it in this format. So I'm going to do like 10 albums at a time, one episode per week throughout the month of July is basically my plan. But a lot of cool album reviews will be coming in the interim. I'm going to be reviewing the new Yes album, certainly, probably in a couple weeks here. And I'm sure there's many other albums that will be coming out that I'm excited to talk about. I'm going to be doing my May roundup of favorite albums that came out in May, which is a really solid list of records. That should be probably not this upcoming week, but the week after. So a lot of fun stuff to look forward to on the channel. Let me know in the comments if you're enjoying the channel lately. Any recommendations, any news items that I missed, any albums that have come out over the last couple weeks that you want to recommend. All of that is always well appreciated. So thank you guys for sticking with me, for watching these episodes, and it's always a fun time. So thank you guys, and I'll hopefully catch you in a future episode. Bye everybody, enjoy the music!